Let me tell you something most doctors don't say out loud. Getting older doesn't mean you have to move slower. It doesn't mean you have to accept pain as your new normal, and it sure doesn't mean you have to limp into the rest of your life. The name is Dr. Elijah Monroe. I've worked with seniors for over 30 years, and I want to share the story of a man who changed everything we thought we knew about aging and movement. His name was Gerald. He was 72 when I met him, tall, quiet, a retired truck driver who once could unload cargo by himself and walk for miles without breaking a sweat. But when he walked into my office that day, he didn't look like the man his records described. He leaned hard on a cane every step, was slow, careful, like he was afraid the ground might break under him. He looked at me and said, "Doc, I feel like I'm falling apart and worse people treat me like I already have." Asked him what had changed. He said the limp started 2 years ago, nothing dramatic. Just a little stiffness in the morning, then it got worse. He stopped walking to the mailbox, then stopped going out for groceries. Eventually, he'd only walk when he had tooth. The doctors had told him it was normal wear and tear, arthritis age. They offered pills, they offered more pills, but no one told him how to get stronger again. No one told him how to walk like himself, and that's when I knew Gerald didn't need more medication. He needed a plan, a real one rooted in science, but built on hope. I ran a few basic tests. His joints were stiff but not damaged. His muscles were weak but not gone. His balance was shaky, but his heart was strong. So I looked him in the eye and said, "Gerald, if you give me 4 weeks, I'll help you get rid of that limp. No surgery, no pills. Just simple changes done consistently." He laughed at first, not out of disrespect, but because no one had spoken to him like that in years. He said, "Doc, if I could walk like I used to, even just halfway, I'd feel like I got my life back." So we began. The first thing I told him, forget the limp, stop focusing on what hurts and start focusing on what works. His eyes narrowed. Curious eyes said, "We're going to build strength from the ground up, starting with your feet. Most people don't realize this, but after 60, the muscles in your feet and ankles start to shrink. And when that happens, your entire walking pattern changes. You take shorter steps, you shuffle, you lean on furniture, you limp." So our first step was to reactivate those forgotten muscles, not with weights, not with treadmills, but with something much simpler. I told Gerald to take off his shoes and stand barefoot on a towel, then using only his toes, scrunch that towel toward himself. Like pulling in a rope 10 times every morning. Sounds silly, but that movement wakes up the small stabilizing muscles in the feet. It improves circulation, rebuilds balance, and reminds the brain that the feet are still alive. We did that for 3 days, then added toe raises while holding a chair, just enough to activate the calves. I also had him start every morning with a glass of warm water and a pinch of sea salt. Why? Because hydration is more than drinking water. Without electrolytes, that water just runs through you to hydrate. Muscles are tight muscles. Tight muscles lead to poor movement. Poor movement leads to limping. By the end of week 1, Gerald's limp was still there, but something had changed. He was standing taller. He was moving with more awareness. He wasn't dragging his left leg as much. He told me, "Doc, I don't know what you did, but I feel like my legs belong to me." Again, that's the power of small steps done right. And in part 2, I'm going to share what happened when we unlocked Gerald's hips, how one forgotten stretch released years of tension, and the one food he added that made his joints feel smoother. Within a week, you won't want to miss it, because what worked for Gerald can work for you. 2. Welcome back. If you watched part 1, you met Gerald, a 72-year-old man who came to me limping, frustrated, and tired of being told his pain was just part of getting older. We started small with towel scrunches to wake up the feet, toe raises to engage the calves, warm water with sea salt to rehydrate his muscles properly. After a week, Gerald's limp hadn't vanished, but he felt something new, hope. Now it was time to move higher up the chain, to the real culprit behind most senior limping, the hips. See, most people think limping is about the knees or the feet, but the hips, they're the silent engine of every step you take. When your hip muscles weaken or tighten, the rest of your body compensates, and that's when limping begins. I had Gerald lie flat on his back, legs straight, arms at his sides. Then I asked him to lift one leg just a few inches off the ground and hold it for 5 seconds. He couldn't, not without shaking, not without pain shooting up through his hip and into his lower. But Kai told him that was normal. His hip flexors had gone to sleep after 60, especially for those who sit often. The iliac muscle group, the deep hip flexors, begin to shorten, tighten, weaken. And when those muscles no longer stabilize the pelvis, your stride shortens, your knees start to carry the load. Your balance suffers, and your body responds the only way it knows. How? By limping. So, we introduced one of my favorite moves, a stretch called the active lunge. Tilt, no, not the kind that looks like gym class. This one is gentle, safe, and powerful. Here's how we did it. Gerald knelt on his right knee with his left foot forward in a soft lunge. He placed both hands on his left knee for support, then gently tilted his pelvis forward without leaning his torso almost. Instantly, he felt the stretch in his right hip that was his psoas unlocking. I told him to hold for 20 seconds, then switch sides. We repeated that twice a day, morning and afternoon, and after 5 days, he no longer winced when stepping out of bed. But we didn't stop there, because even as we stretched his hips, we needed to feed them. That's where nutrition came in, and there was one food I asked him to add immediately. It wasn't expensive, it wasn't exotic, it was something most people overlook entirely: vocodizius, this creamy fruit rich in potassium, magnesium, and anti-inflammatory fats. Can make a massive difference in joint mobility. After 60, most seniors don't get enough magnesium. And without magnesium, your muscles stay tight, your nerves fire incorrectly, and your energy tanks. So, every morning, Gerald added half an avocado to his eggs or mashed it onto toast. He even started blending it into his smoothies. Within a week, his joints felt less creaky, his steps got smoother. Asked him one morning, "How's the walk today, Gerald?" He smiled and said, "Feels like I'm floating." A little more than before. That's when I knew we were on the right path. Here's something important. None of this was intense. There were no heavy weights, no gym machines, just targeted movements, real food, and consistency. Now at this point, Gerald's limp had softened, but it hadn't disappeared. That's when we tackled the part no one thinks about: the gluteus. See, after 60, the gluteus medius and minimus. The side glutes begin to shrink faster than other muscles, and when those fade, you lose side-to-side stability, which is why so many seniors sway when they walk or lose balance during turns. So I gave Gerald a band, just a light resistance loop, and had him do side steps across his kitchen, 10 steps to the right, 10 to the left twice a day. He groaned at first, but after a few days, he noticed something. He was standing longer. Without shifting his weight, he was stepping more confidently. Now, I want you to picture this. A man who was leaning on a cane 2 weeks ago now, walking across his kitchen side, stepping, cooking for himself, telling jokes while he moves. He wasn't just healing physically, he was reclaiming control. In part 3, we'll go even deeper. I'm going to show you how Gerald improved his balance using nothing more than a rolled-up towel and a chair and a powerful afternoon drink that helped restore circulation to his legs and reduce joint swelling. This is where everything starts coming together, and it's where his transformation takes flight. See you in part 3. By the 3rd week, Gerald's limp was barely noticeable, but I reminded him, this wasn't about appearances, it was about resilience, mobility, freedom. Now that his hips were waking up, his glutes stabilizing, and his joints moving more freely, we shifted focus to balance, because here's what most seniors don't realize. Your muscles can be strong, but if your balance is off, your body will compensate in dangerous ways. You'll shorten your stride, hesitate before turns, or swing your arms awkwardly to stay upright. In that's where subtle limping patterns creep back in, often without warning. So we started what I call the towel trick. I had Gerald take an old hand towel, roll it up tight like a yoga bolster, and place it on the floor next to a sturdy chair. He stood barefoot on the towel, 1 foot at a time, letting his arches feel the gentle instability beneath them. His goal wasn't to wobble wildly, it was to let his foot muscles adjust, to train his ankles to activate the nerve pathways that control balance. At first, he could only stand for 10 seconds, then 15, then 30. By the end of that week, he was standing for over a minute, comfortably, calmly. That towel became his secret weapon because it rewired his proprioception, the inner map your brain uses to understand where your body is in space. And that internal map, when accurate, means fewer falls, fewer missteps, and a smoother, more confident walk around. The same time, we addressed something equally important. Sir told me his legs would feel heavy in the afternoon, like they were dragging. I asked what he drank after lunch. Coffee, soda, maybe a little water. I offered him a simple swap: beet and ginger tea. Now I know that sounds strange, but beets contain natural Nitrates that expand blood vessels, improving oxygen flow to the muscles. Ginger reduces inflammation and supports joint comfort. Gave him a recipe: boil 2 slices of fresh ginger with a few beet slices in water for 15 minutes. Let it cool. Strain and sip slowly. After lunch, he called it his afternoon reset, and within days, he said his legs felt lighter. Warmer, like blood was finally reaching the parts that had gone coldest. Energy came back too, because better circulation means better nutrient delivery, better muscle response, better recovery. Then we layered in one more technique, something I've seen help dozens of my patients over the years. Chair push-offs. It sounds simple, but this movement tells you exactly how strong your legs are. Gerald sat in a sturdy chair, feet flat, hands crossed over his chest, then stood up without using his hands, and slowly sat back down. First, he needed momentum, but by the 5th day, he could rise with control. We did this twice a day, 10 repetitions. And every few days we moved the chair closer to the wall, which forced him to use more strength and less rocking motion. Now by the 4th week, Gerald wasn't just walking. He was walking without hesitation. No limp, no cane, just a quiet, smooth stride. The kind you don't think about when you're young. The kind that lets you carry groceries, climb stairs, and move freely. He came in one morning wearing a new pair of shoes and said, "Doc, I haven't bought new shoes in years. Didn't think I needed them, but now I walk enough that I wore out my old ones." That sentence right there was proof of progress. Not numbers on a chart, not scans or measurements, but the reality of living again. What Gerald experienced is not rare, it's just rarely supported. Most people are told to accept decline, to slow down, to be careful, but that mindset leads to muscle atrophy, and the more you stop moving, the more your body forgets. How Gerald proved that movement, even slow, even gentle, can restore what was thought to be gone. Now our final steps focused on stamina, because strength is only part of the picture. Seniors need endurance, energy, and the ability to sustain movement throughout the day. So we introduced breathwork, posture alignment in a simple 4-minute walking protocol that works like medicine for aging legs. That's where we go next, because Gerald wasn't finished yet, and neither are you. The more Gerald moved, the more he came alive, not just in his stride, but in his eyes, his voice, even his laugh. He wasn't just healing, he was becoming himself again. But there was still one missing piece: endurance. Because walking across the kitchen is one thing, walking through the park, up the stairs, across a parking lot on a hot day, that's where real life happens. And without stamina, without sustained energy, you fall back into old patterns. So I introduced something simple, something powerful. I called it the 4x1. Every morning after breakfast, Gerald would walk for 4 minutes. Not fast, not forced, but steady with purpose. Then he'd rest for 1 minute, just standing tall, letting his heart settle. Then repeat 4 minutes of walking, 1 minute of rest. Do that 3 times, 15 minutes total. It doesn't sound like much, but this pattern resets your cardiovascular rhythm. It trains your muscles to recover under low stress. And it teaches your nervous system that walking isn't a threat, it's a rhythm. By the 2nd week of this protocol, Gerald told me something interesting. He said, "Doc, I was walking the dog and forgot to stop. I looked down and realized I'd gone almost a mile." That's the moment I knew his brain had caught up to his body. His stride wasn't just smoother, it was automatic again. We also looked at posture, because no matter how strong your legs are, if your spine is slouched, if your chest is collapsed, if your shoulders roll forward, you're not walking, you're shuffling. So we practiced what I call the string method. I told Gerald, imagine a string tied to the top of your head, gently pulling upward. Now take a deep breath in and let your ribcage rise with it. Feel your spine elongate. Feel your weight shift slightly onto the balls of your feet. This shift in posture isn't dramatic, but it activates the deep core, the muscles that hold your pelvis stable, and it opens up the lungs, so every breath brings in more oxygen, more clarity, more energy. We practiced this for just a minute each hour. Over time, it became second nature, but I also knew we needed fuel. So I asked Gerald about his afternoon snacks. He mentioned crackers sometimes, chips, maybe a little sandwich. I asked if he was open to trying something new. He nodded. So I gave him what I call the muscle bowl. A handful of blueberries, 2 walnuts, a tablespoon of plain Greek yogurt, and a drizzle of turmeric honey. Why this combo? Blueberries for antioxidants, walnuts for omega-3, South Greek yogurt for protein, and turmeric for anti-inflammatory support. It's light, satisfying, and designed to feed muscles, joints, and the brain all at once. Gerald started calling it his magic bowl. Said it made his afternoons sharper, his walks smoother, his sleep deeper. And yes, sleep matters too, because during sleep, your muscles rebuild, your nervous system resets, and your joints rehydrate. I asked Gerald to keep a sleep log, no screens 2 hours before bed, a warm magnesium foot soak, and 8 ounces of tart cherry juice, 1 hour before sleep. Within days, he reported, fewer wake-ups, more dreams, and less stiffness in the morning now. By this point, we were 5 weeks in, and Gerald was not the same man who had limped into my office. He walked tall, he moved with rhythm, he didn't just feel younger, he felt capable. And that word capable means everything after 60. Because it's not about running marathons, it's about being able to do what matters. Carrying groceries, climbing stairs, dancing in your kitchen, walking beside your grandchildren without fear of falling. Gerald had that again, and the best part, it didn't come from a miracle pill or a high-tech device. It came from consistency. And trust in the body's ability to heal, even after years of stiffness, even after being told by others to slow down. In our final 2 weeks together, we focused on preserving these gains, making a new stride permanent, building a rhythm Gerald could follow for the rest of his life, a routine simple enough to stick with and powerful enough to protect his independence. That's where we go next. Because it's not just about walking without a limp, it's about living without fear of losing your step again. Sustaining progress, that was our next mission, because a new stride means nothing if it disappears the moment life gets busy. And for Gerald, now that he had his rhythm back, he didn't want to lose it, so we focused on something often overlooked. The micro movements, the small daily actions that either protect your mobility or slowly erode ITE. Had Gerald tracked 2 things each day: how long he sat without standing, and how many times he stood up without bracing with his hands. Sounds simple, but the data told a story. On the first day, he had sat for over 3 hours straight without a single stand. And every time he got up, he pushed off his thighs or leaned forward to build momentum. That leaning forward, that hand bracing, is one of the first signs of weakening posterior chains, the glutes, the lower back, the hamstrings. So we reversed it every hour. I asked Gerald to stand and sit 5 times from a dining chair without using his hands, not fast, not forced, just controlled. This activated what I call the forgotten chain, the sequence of muscles that keeps your body upright and grounded. And over the course of 10 days, that motion became smoother, more confident, less draining. His body was no longer asking for permission to move, it was leading. I also had him shift his sitting habits, no more soft couches, for long stretches instead. He alternated between firm chairs and standing counters. This small change, keeping his hips aligned, helped maintain the hip mobility we had worked so hard to rebuild. Next, we added breath walking gait technique that links your inhale and exhale with your steps. Not only does it improve oxygen delivery, it stabilizes your rhythm. Here's how it works. Inhale for 4 steps, exhale for 4 steps. Repeat for 10 minutes. At first, Gerald said it felt strange, but by day 3, he said it felt like gliding. Linking breath with movement creates neurological harmony. Your heart rate calms, your coordination improves, and your stride becomes effortless. We focused on foot care, because the feet, often forgotten, are your foundation. I taught Gerald a nightly foot massage routine using a tennis ball. He rolled each foot back and forth from heel to toe, applying gentle pressure. This simple act relaxed the fascia, improved blood flow, and kept his ankles loose and responsive. He even began looking forward to it. Said it helped him fall asleep faster. As we approached week 6, there was something different about him. He no longer talked about his limp. He no longer feared stairs. He stopped checking the ground before each step. He was just walking, like any man his age should. Not just walking, but walking with grace, with steadiness, with strength. In his family noticed, too. His daughter called me, said, "What did you do to my dad? He's moving better than he has in years. He's chasing the grandkids, doing yard work, laughing louder." Laughter, that lightness, it comes from feeling safe in your own body. Again, not guarded, not tense, not bracing. For the next flare bet, at ease on. I want to be clear. Gerald wasn't doing anything extreme. No gym membership, no supplements, no invasive treatments, just movement, breath, hydration, food, and a commitment to keep showing up for his body in the final phase, we created a simple daily plan, something so easy, so natural, it could be done without a second thought. This routine would become his anchor, because once you've healed a limp, once you've rebuilt a stride, the most important step is not letting it slip away again. That's what I'll walk you through next. Gerald's final plan, and how it can become yours too. No matter your age, no matter your history, no matter how long you've been limping, because the way you move is the way you live, and you deserve to move freely every single day. Asterisk, we sat down at Gerald's kitchen table. Same place we started 6 weeks earlier. Only now he wasn't leaning back in the chair. He wasn't rubbing his knees. He wasn't sighing with frustration. He was upright, relaxed, strong. He had done it. He had walked his way out of a limp. Not with magic, not with shortcuts, but with daily action. So we wrote out a routine, one that would carry him forward for years, and I want to share it with you now, because it's not just his plan, it can be your plan. 2 each day started with hydration, 1 glass of warm water, a pinch of sea salt, or a squeeze of lemon, to rehydrate tissues and prepare muscles for movement. Then his morning stretch, just 5 minutes. The towel scrunch for foot activation, a standing toe raise, and a gentle hip lunge to open his stride head. Follow that with his first walk. 4 minutes on, 1 minute off, 3 rounds. In the afternoon, he did 1 round of sit-to stands, 10 reps. From a dining chair, no hands then. His snack, the muscle bowl, blueberries, walnuts, Greek yogurt, a drizzle of turmeric, honey. At sunset, he'd walk again, breath walking, inhale 4 steps, exhale 4 steps, simple rhythmic calming. Then before bed, a foot massage with a tennis ball, gentle rolls from heel to toe, followed by 8 ounces of tart cherry juice, and no screens for at least 1 hour. Before sleep, this wasn't complicated, it wasn't expensive. It was just consistent. Consistency is what saved Gerald's stride. Now, 6 months later, he sends me videos playing with his grandkids, walking across his lawn, lifting groceries with ease. He even told me he's planning a trip with his wife to hike in the Smoky Mountains, from limping to hiking. At 70 twathots, what's possible when you stop listening to the lie that says, it's just age? Let me speak to you directly now. If you've been limping, if stairs feel hard, if you've given up on walking without pain, down your body is listening. It remembers how to move. It remembers how to heal you. You'll need patience. Yes, you'll need repetition. But if you commit to this path, you will feel the shift start today. Take off your shoes, roll that towel, drink your water, stretch your hips, move your feet, because one day someone might look at you and say, how are you walking like that at your age? And you'll smile just like Gerald did and say, because I decided not to stop. You deserve to feel strong. You deserve to move without fear. You deserve to walk like you're 40, even if you're 70 or beyond. This is Dr. Elijah Monroe, and why I believe in the strength still living inside your stride. Keep going, one step at a time.